This is Steph reporting to you for Dates and Cakes, and today's episode is brought to you by Puerto Rican chocolate because your girl, well, I'm not anyone's girl, but Dates and Cakes had to venture out and took her bestie with her because we were celebrating her birthday month. This world is so crazy. You gotta celebrate every day that you made it out alive. So I'm gonna be making some fudge because what the fudge? This guy in this particular story is certainly one of a kind. So in our bowl here we have got really any chocolate that you can find, butterscotch, and now some sweet jumbo chocolate chips, and some of our Cortez chocolate. So we were in lockdown while we went over there. There was a curfew. I didn't even have a curfew in high school because I wasn't allowed out, not because, you know, I was wild. And we had to be in by 9 p.m. We didn't know that till, you know, right before our trip. This is fantastic. I've never opened this. It's a whole bar. Look, Fluff, it's a whole bar. Don't worry, that wouldn't kill you. So we got into our hotel with some terrible food because we were racing against the clock, and we realized that there were people outside. We could hear some music in the back, and so we went out there and stumbled upon, not quite literally because I'm not that clumsy yet, gotta wait for the liquor to kick in. So we came across this guy that refers to himself as Mr. Chili Pepper, and in no relation to the band Red Hot, and this is sweet condensed milk, by the way. And he was definitely a ladies' man and was from some Caribbean island. I didn't catch which one. And was flirting with all these girls, whatever, and friend, and then says, "Oh, who's your friend?" And so starts to talk to me, and these girls come up. I'm gonna pop this in the microwave or over some form of heat, at 30-second intervals. The girl looked at me and gave me an up down a couple times. The girl in the center of the pack, and she said, "Oh, you've been talking to him? Blah 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 blah. Oh yeah, you know his name?" And I was like, "No." And she was like, "Oh, you don't?" Like she has one up, and I was like, "It's not like you know where the treasure's buried." And so they kind of scurry off, and then I go to get more drinks, and he's like, "Well, I've got some Tito's in my room if you want some." And I was like, my best friend was like, "Yeah, I'll get some too." And I was like, "All right, cool." So we went over there, and he's like trying to get my number and all this stuff, and he was like, I was like, "Homegirl's not happy that I was talking to you." And he's like, "Yeah, I told her she was really insecure and she needed to work on herself." "You told her that?" And he was like, "I mean, guys want a confident woman. So, what the fudge? We are going to make different types of fudge because this is a base that you can get crazy with." So, we got Rocky Road, we got, I don't even know what you want to call this, Samoa, I guess, because it's coconut and walnuts. Oreo. And he was talking about how he has an ex-wife and whatever, and probably should have crushed the Oreos up first. It's just a little crush. And you also want to make sure your chocolate is melted, because I'm seeing some chocolate chunks, so that's fine. Give a little texture, I guess. So he was trying to get my number and was like, "Hey, like, we can drink tomorrow, blah blah blah." And since you have those, my best friend kept calling them orchids, and I was like, "You should just call them orcas," which is a whale, in my feet, because sea urchins are a thing apparently in Puerto Rico, and I've been like 9 oceans. I've never been in an ocean with sea urchins. Shit hurts. It's like the cactus of the sea, and it's there's still some in my feet. It's great. There's one right here underneath all the chocolate. So I went ahead and gave my number because I was like, well, I mean, there was a curfew anyway, whatever. And he was like, "Yeah, I'm gonna get some rum tomorrow." And I was like, "Well, that's great because it's usually gone." He was like, "Oh, are you a pirate?" That didn't happen. And so I gave it to him, whatever. And he's like, "I'll help you get the sea urchins out of your feet." And I was like, that's... Drunk me didn't think that was weird. Sober me thought that was a little weird. But I'm in so much pain, I'll do anything. Homeboy gave me, at the resort gave me a sewing kit to get them out. So I texted him the next day and was like, hey, are you still, I was like, where are y'all at? And he, because we saw one of his friends that I had met with him, and I don't know where my best friend was, and she was like, did I meet you yesterday? Because she was more drunk than I was. And he was like, no, but I've been looking for you. And I was like, oh my gosh. We met up with Homeboy, and he didn't remember anything about helping me with my sea urchins. So he was like, yeah, I got a bottle of rum and some wine. He got neither. He came back later and left this, this weird, like, some sort of herbal thing that I googled, and it said it was to help with erections. So I was like, well, I don't know what he thinks this Jim Beam is getting him for tonight, but it's been fun. He came back after that he didn't even come back. So we put the lid back on it, and we were like halfway through. And we were playing heads up because it was a blast. Just me and the bestie. We don't even need other people. He even said that. He was like, y'all don't need anyone else, do you? And I was like, we really don't. And in my head, I was like, I mean, I travel by myself all the time, and I don't need people then either, so. And we went over by his friends and other people that he met on this trip, and he didn't ask about the liquor, he didn't try and talk with us, and then we went to bed, and then the next morning I woke up with a text being like, you go up, or something like that, and I was like, I mean, I guess that means we went to sleep, and I was like, yeah, and then I never heard from him again, so naturally we didn't waste the whiskey. You're gonna pop these in the fridge, or if you're impatient like me, in the freezer, for like, the fridge, probably an hour. The freezer, I mean, once it firms. So, the sweetness of Jim Beam, even though I didn't put it in the fudge, I did put spicy Kahlua, Cortez, if you will, Aztec kind of goods, to give it a little flair, a little fire, and, I guess this one's for you, Mr. Chili Pepper. Until next time, for Dates and Cakes, subscribe and like.